Lee, thank you very much for taking time out to come speak to us. Really appreciate it. Can you tell us a little bit about LTA performance and what you specialize in?
Yeah, so LTA Performance is my personalized coaching. So what I specialize in is helping individuals lose fat, not only for the short term, but be able to sustain that for a healthy lifestyle. During the journey of my clients, they're going to be able to boost their energy so they can be more productive with their day, be able to, use that extra energy how they would love to use it. I am fully online as a fitness coach, so I only do online coaching, which is really great because I can, really brand my coaching to really focus on not only the fitness and nutritional side, but some of the other healthy habits and really tap into that mindset so they can be able to have those habits stick, not just for their goals in the short term, but for their long-term goals.
So, when it comes down to fitness, one of the biggest things that I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, one of the biggest challenges that anyone faces, whether it's the person being trained or the trainer, it's up here, is the mind. So, can you share with us some of the most common obstacles you experienced when dealing with your clients?
Yeah, that you hit it right on the head. It is really the mindset. So I like to say, life happens, right? Life we have so many different obstacles that happen. So, as a coach, like what someone might feel is very difficult for themselves and they don't understand how to get through it. For me, it's like, well, that's easy. I've seen that happen so many times, and I know, the easy way to adjust that so they don't have those issues. So, it could just be anything in life. I mean, think about what's happened this year, of course, with COVID, right? It has changed a lot of what, someone that could be used to doing the routine. So, it really could be anything. It could be a trip. It can be, with work, people get slammed, of course. It could be meetings. It can be, some different events that are going on and they feel like it's too hard and they don't understand how to get through it and they can feel really stressed out. So for me, it's like to just really get them to understand, just to stay focused on what they can control and, they'll be able to move around that no issue.
So, how should somebody who's used to going out, used to being active, and now since March, and it'll probably be until next March for almost a whole year that they're not able to do anything? What would you recommend that they do? Some small things that they can do to A, not drive themselves crazy, but to also stay somewhat active.
Yeah, that is a big part. I think the big thing is to first stay positive. If you're not, positive, it's gonna stop you from wanting to do anything. So just really being positive, just know that things are gonna work its way out. The best thing you can do is just to start some habit that can help you. So don't always feel like you have to do everything at once. You don't want to overwhelm yourself if you haven't been doing anything at all. It could just start something very simple, a simple walk, something very simple. Maybe just a few push-ups there, a few squats, something like that. Just something very, easy just to start off at first. And then what you want to do is just make something a habit because, everything else can come together as you start building some of your habits, but focus on one thing that you can do and try to get kind of consistent with that. And then it'll help you with, being able to really set yourself to have a goal from there.
So I think it's pretty interesting that you said habit. So how long does it take for one of your clients, based on your experience, to to form a good habit, or at least to get rid of a bad one?
Yeah, I think one thing we have to kind of realize it depends really on the person. I mean, some people are very quick at it where they can, just quickly, flip a switch and they can get something going and it can just start being a habit. But for others, just because maybe some of the other struggles that we have, it is going to take a little bit longer. So it kind of does depend, person to person. I would say, you know, within a few months, that's when someone can really start feeling like they're cooking, with some of the habits they have. They like to say it takes really 6 months to 9 months for something to really stick to become a habit. And even then it could be hard to continue with that. So it definitely does take some time, but for some people, they might be able to hit the ground running a little bit faster. But we just have to understand, it takes time. As long as you're staying positive with it and you're just trying to be consistent with it, and that's when your habit will start to stick because we have to understand there's things that we have been doing over and over for some time, and so it's kind of hard to break some of the, you could say, the bad habits.
So let's talk about habits in the sense of intake, like food, the good stuff and the bad stuff. I doubt that there's a lot of people out there that are really eating well, or at least improved their eating habits. So can you talk a little bit about what should they be aware of when it comes down to their eating habits?
I think the biggest thing to being aware of is just how easy it is to overeat. Um, it's shown through studies that when people are not being really aware of what they're eating, they overeat fairly easy. So the majority of us are going to overeat, even if we don't think we're eating a lot. We're eating more than we expect. So it really can add up if you're not filling your pantries and your refrigerator with some of the best foods that are not going to cause you to really overeat. So sometimes you got to stay away from some of those temptations. Those temptations will get to you. I know for myself, I have to make sure I don't put cookies and chips in often, because it's so easy to overeat foods like that. So I mean, it's not that you have to go cold turkey and never eat those foods again, but you do have to reduce those foods. So being smart with your choices when you are shopping is very important, so you're not overeating those foods like that.
So in addition to the routines that you're talking about, what about goals? How important are goals, and how should we set them? Because we're coming up to Christmas, the New Year, so we're hitting that cycle again of never ending. We're done in 2 weeks. So what would you recommend that we start looking forward to, at least trying to create some goals itself?
Yeah, goals are everything. You have to have a goal, or how are you going to be able to build on something that's going to lead to your success and the results you want? So you have to be able to definitely have a goal. So for you to be able to set goals, you have to think of like what's important for you. What do you want to have happen? There's a great acronym that we use that really helps, and it's the SMART goals. And if you think about it, you want it to be specific. So, you want to know what exactly is the goal that you want. You want it to be measurable. So you want to be able to track that, and attainable. So, sometimes we create some of these unrealistic goals and expect that you're going to be able to just, reach it so fast. So it has to be, attainable with that. And the realistic is, where it comes from the R. And then, definitely has to have a time frame. You want to specifically put the time to that, because as we know, reverse engineering is what's going to help you be successful with your goals. So this is definitely a time. I know it's kind of hard to really focus on what you want to have happen, right? Because, we're so busy with the holiday season and everything else. But, as soon as the new year comes and, we're going to set resolutions, it makes it a little bit easier for you to be able to do that, right? So, you want to really set on the goals that you want to have happen so you can do it the right way.
So what are some of the challenges right now that you yourself as a trainer is facing with your clients when it comes down to COVID?
Well, I think that some things could just be, for us, I feel like we want to be in the gym. I think, we don't like to feel like we're stuck at home, right? It feels like you're isolated. No one wants to feel like they're stuck at home, they're isolated. So it can be hard, when you feel like you're just home all the time. So, the gym is kind of, the way to get yourself out the house and kind of get, free from, being at home and everything. So it's a lot easier when you're going to the gym. I know for a lot of people have told me over time, it's like, if I'm not going to the gym, it's just easy for me just to get caught up with everything else. And so it can kind of be hard. But I think the thing that has to be important is that you have to understand that, you just have to adapt to it. Because I mean, with COVID, like you stated, it's different in each area. Here in Texas, we've had reopened gyms since May. And, not everyone has that. And so some of the gyms have been closed longer. So they're not really, able to do the normal routine. So you just have to be willing to kind of adapt to the situation that you're given. There's tons of home exercises that you can do that are going to be just as valuable as in the gym. Just really of how you're approaching it and your mindset with it.
So I'm going to run two scenarios with you. First scenario is, what would you recommend for somebody when they first wake up in the morning? Doesn't have to be immediately, but somebody who's a morning person will do that. what would you recommend to them? What should they at least be conscious of and start trying to do to get into a good routine or a good habit?
Well, I think if you're a morning person, that's the time that you're going to want to work out. So, if you can start to try to start some habit that can help you, it's kind of similar to like I said a little bit earlier. What's something that you can do to get active in the morning? It could be something simple, like I said, just a simple walk. A few exercise here and there, something to get you active. I think what will help you is just kind of understanding, like setting your goals, which we just talked about. When you have your goals written down or you have it somewhere that you can visibly see it each day, it will really kind of get you to stay on top of it because you're like visually seeing it and you're kind of really painting the picture that you want. So I think, understanding what your goals are, what your desires are, and be able to, see it, because then you can start visualizing what can happen, once you start really building this routine. So just trying to do something that can get you active. I like to say in your calendar, you want to block out some time for yourself. So you can put that in your calendar as a reminder. That also really helps you to stay on top of it.
So would you say that morning routine or morning workout is the equivalent or the same as evening workout? Would you treat those two the same or would you work them slightly different?
I would really say it kind of depends on I'm very kind of depends, on the situation for your schedule, and for some people they just feel like they can't wake up in the morning. I used to teach group classes at 5, and I've had clients at 5. For some people, if I told them, hey, you're going to wake up at 5 to work out, they're just going to say, there's no way I'm going to do it. Like they're just not in the mood to do it. But, I would recommend that for someone if it's like, you are able to work out in the morning and you feel like your day is so hectic later on. Because for some people, as soon as you're done with work, you have to attend to your kids and some of your other things. So you're like, there's no way I can do it. But, for others, it's not an issue. I have clients that, do work out in the evening. I have clients that work out in the morning. It just kind of depends, what works best for them. So I would say, the one thing that could be a struggle in the morning, I would tell someone, is you really just have to do it more consistently before it doesn't seem as hard. So, what happens in the morning is your body's not used to it. So like your first 2 weeks, you will struggle with it. Like you will feel like, man, you feel like you're dragging, you feel like you're tired. What we have kind of found, even through studies, that it takes your body a little bit longer to adjust to in the morning. So you'll feel like, not as strong. You might not feel like you're as energetic. But once you kind of do it consistently over time, it makes it real easy for you to do. So it can be the same as the evening and the morning. You just kind of have to go through some of the struggles at first with it. But I would say it just really depends on the situation. I think sometimes waiting till the end of the day to do something can be hard because it's so easy not to do it. I think the morning does help, everyone generally better, because it's like if you knock it out the first thing in the morning, you don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. Like nothing can stop you. You don't have to, even if you stay late for work, like that's not going to stop you from being able to get your workout in.
So I see that you graduated from Truman State University with a BS or bachelor's in exercise science. So it's kind of like organic mechanics that you're kind of studying there. One of the reasons why I wanted you on the show is because you're a certified strength and conditioning specialist. And one of the goals of this program is to take your body to the next level itself. So can you please share some of the core values or the core points when it comes down to strength and conditioning for the human body?
Yeah. So the big thing is really consistency is everything. I think we know that in life, like consistency is really the big thing. So, as far as you improving your strength and your condition, you can really, boil it down when you're first starting off, is really your consistency. So if you're consistent, working on your strength, you're consistent working on your conditioning, like it's going to improve over time. Also, you just have to be willing to understand how, your effort. So, I'm not big into you don't want to go all out when you first start. Like you got to build a foundation. So, when you're kind of starting at first, you want to build your endurance. You want to just get in the routine of things. You don't want to overwhelm yourself too much when you're starting. But over time, you can start progressing, your yourself with this. So the big thing with it is just your consistency and your effort. You can really boil it down to those two. Those are two big principles. So when you think of effort, you have to understand the right way to push yourself. Understanding that, of course, when you're working out, it's not meant to be easy where you're not doing anything. It's going to be a grind is going to push yourself, but that doesn't mean that you have to die. Where you feel like you're going to die and you can't do any more reps. And because what's just important with we forget is your recovery is really important. So, you want to be able to not only have a great workout, but be able to recover so you can come back for it and have a really great workout. Because if you're, overwhelming yourself too much in your workouts and you're not able to recover, then you're not going to get the effect that you want. So that's very important, as well as not just how hard you work, but being able to recover properly.
So let's say you have a workout routine that you've given to your client, and they've got back, they've got core, lower body, legs, stuff like that. How long should they wait? Because you were talking about recovery between not necessarily sets, because that's a little bit shorter, but between the actual the long routines themselves.
It kind of depends on how you kind of break up your workout. So if we just use kind of your example right there, if you're doing a different muscle group on a different day, like you're not gonna work those same muscles. So within 48 hours, your body, for most people, your body's going to recover fine. So if you think about it, let's say if you said like your routine, you're doing back on Monday and you're doing legs on Tuesday, and let's say you're doing some of your other muscle groups with core on Wednesday. By the time you came back for Thursday to do back, if you're properly working out correctly, you should be recovered for that. I do full body splits also with a lot of my clients too. So with full body, it kind of works the same way, as far as you wouldn't work these same muscle groups on, you kind of do it a little bit different. So you would need some rest in between. So yes, you have to be able to rest. If you try to do the same muscle groups back to back days, you're not going to be recovered. Like it doesn't work that way.
So what would you say is the best thing to look out for to make sure that you don't hurt yourself when you're doing your workouts? Because I think in COVID, you're going to get bored. And if you don't eat, you don't want to spend too much time in front of the TV and sit on the couch, because then you're going to probably eat. Or, 'cause that midsection for a lot of guys, it's going to start growing real quickly. So what would you recommend, aside from, let's just say they had a routine, but just to be aware of so they don't hurt themselves?
As far as making sure you don't hurt yourself, form is everything. So you want controlled movement. So what I mean by that is you want to be able to control your body the right way. So you hurt yourself when you're, maybe sometimes I like to say, your ego gets in the way. So you try to do too much, and when you try to do too much and you're not doing the correct form, you're going to put yourself at risk for injury. Also, like I said, if you overdo it, so if you try to do too much work at once, where you're just doing too much, like I said, you got to be able to recover. So if you do too much there, that is something. And also, for a lot of us, we have to be able to adjust some of our workouts because we have previous injuries, right? If you have a previous injury, certain movements you're not going to be able to do. So you need to adjust it where, mechanically it works for your body, where you're not, putting yourself at harm. So really putting those into an effect will help you really stay safe.
And just to confirm with the audience, you are a certified personal trainer. So let's just say, for instance, I go crazy and I want you to train me. What would be some of the things that you would ask me for or want to know about before you start to build out a routine or a set for me?
So the first thing is, before we get going, is properly the assessment process is something I very take important, because that's something we need to know. So definitely kind of understanding your situation, your background, for one, to make sure this is something that you want to actually commit to. Very important that you're going to be willing to commit to, because you can't be 1 foot out, right? You got to be able to want to commit to this. So understanding that this is something that's important to you, that you want to do. So during the assessment process, to really I like to figure out what your routine is, as far as your life, as far as work and everything. How do you have to balance, if you have kids and everything? How do you have to do that? So how do you kind of work around it? What is some of the things you struggle with, as far as, working out, or some of the diet things, because like I said, I have to really build it out. I really believe in making this customized to each person. So every client is different. So I really make sure that is part of it. Knowing what you, like I said, you've done recently, what you've done in the past. If I'm designing workouts for one, I have to understand like what is your injury history, because certain, like I said, certain exercises are not going to be the best for you. So we might have to modify and do some other exercise. So really understanding that, and what is your preference as far as working out? Because for some people, they might prefer, certain movements. So they might like, the big three, oh, I love squat, I love bench press, I love deadlifts. For some people, they don't. So I don't force any exercises on someone. So, are you going to work out in the gym, or are you going to work out home? What are the type of cardio exercises you like? Do you like traditional? Do you like non-cardio? So I really make sure, I'm fitting, not only the workouts to them, but also, everything else that comes with it, as far as the diet and everything. So I really do a thorough process with that.
So if somebody has a condition, high blood pressure, maybe diabetes, just maybe level one, not full blown over the top diabetes, something simple like that, should they still contact you for help?
Yeah, I mean, something like that isn't. I mean, as long as your doctor says it's okay, which for most people, I don't see why I've never had a client that couldn't with that. So, I mean, really, with the good thing about conditions like that, so let's say you have type 2 diabetes, or you have high blood pressure, those are reversible. They're really directed just to your weight. So, I mean, if you're going to lose significant weight, I mean, you're going to be able to be off those medications. So, the best thing is for you to get into a routine. I don't for those conditions. I haven't seen a case where somebody couldn't get started, because if someone is on there, typically controlling it through their medications. But the great thing, like I said, is once you start getting in a routine and everything, you're actually going to be able to reverse those things, because those are reversible. If it's type 2 diabetes and it's high blood pressure.
So what's the best way if somebody's interested in getting hold of you so they can start their new journey?
So the best thing is to directly contact me. They can reach me at my email. My email's Coach Lee at LTA Performance, so they can reach me there. I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So I mean, if they directly want to contact me there, they can as well. Also visiting my site, they can book a call personally with me, which is LTAperformance365.com. So best thing is to directly get in contact with me. If you're thinking about doing something about yourself and you want to do something, the best thing is to take action now. You don't really want to wait off on it, because when it's important for you to get started, it's really important that you do it, because life happens. Something else might pop up and you kind of forget to focus on yourself. So the best thing is to get in contact, and we can work to see what you need to get going.
Well, thank you very much for your time here. But before we let you go, as I mentioned earlier, it's coming to Christmas. So it's resolution season again. So I'm going to ask you something to help the audience. And that's basically, what do you recommend that we can do for the next 30, 60, maybe 90 days that can help us push over this and maybe actually start something that we can continue for the rest of our lives?
Yeah, this is very important, kind of similar to what we stated earlier. New Year's resolution is the biggest time of the year. As soon as the New Year's, 50% of people are going to make weight loss. Their New Year resolution, more than 50% is going to have some type of fitness goal. So I know for a lot of us out there, this is something that we're going to want to do happen for ourselves. The tough thing is, that, almost 80% are going to kind of fail with that. So I think the best thing that you can do is get some support to really help you. One thing that I have that I'm actually excited, I actually released today, is the registration to join my challenge that will start, in the new year. I understand what people are struggling with when they're wanting to make the change. So in order to break, the ever cycle of, you make the New Year's resolution, you start, and then you give up, and then you just keep doing it every year. It's like to kind of break that insanity, my challenge is a 30-day challenge is really set up to help you with that. So you're going to have the support as far as having a nutritional plan that's going to be flexible. You're going to have an elite fitness program around you in those 30 days. I'm going to do live training. So, a big thing that's going to really separate my training from, a lot of challenges is having these live trainings. So I'm going to, kind of coach you and teach you on some things that you need to have happen so you can get these habits to stick. And the great thing is the accountability will be there for me because, I will be giving you, coaching tips daily. And the great thing is when you're surrounded in a support group with other people that are doing the challenge just like you, it really helps you to keep going because you have the support of others. It's so hard when you don't have the support of others because, it's so easy to, want to give up. But when you have everyone else telling you, hey, you can do it, like you're more likely to continue with it.
Lee, that was beautiful. Perfect. Thank you very much for being on the show. We appreciate it. And we look forward to having you back on after all this craziness is over.
Yes. Thank you, Carlos. I look forward to it.